Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Master Mode. Now, this is a feature that's part of the first wave of DLC that the game had. That was released back in, I believe, 2018 or so. And this is basically like with a lot of the other Master Modes or Hero Modes of a lot of the other Zelda games. Master Mode in Breath of the Wild is basically a harder version of normal mode, but with Breath of the Wild Master Mode, this is probably one of the most different experiences of a Master Mode or Hero Mode in a Zelda game, with keeping some of the old elements from all the other Hero Modes, in the sense that in Breath of the Wild one, you still take twice as much damage as you know, from enemies as the other Hero Modes, but also in Master Mode specifically, all the enemies get one, or all the regular enemies, they all get one extra colour variant, that being gold, that being the hardest variant of enemies you can fight in the game. And I would say that this particular Master Mode is a harder version of normal of Breath of the Wild if you compare that to normal mode, because with Hero Mode or Master Mode, every single enemy that you fight in the game, all regenerate their health, which can be annoying, especially if you're fighting any of the main bosses. For instance, if you're fighting against Calamity Ganon, let's say, and you have all of the Divine Beast freed, and then when you see the cutscene of them draining Ganon's health down to half, it can get annoying when you see half health and then you have to try and you see it regenerate itself. It can get annoying at times, but I think that part of the game where the whole enemies regenerate their health is a nice touch. It means it makes the game that much harder, and you have to think of how you have to try and fight the enemies and stuff like that. And yeah, now I'm going to show you some gameplay. So one of the smaller details when it comes to Hero Mode or Master Mode for Breath of the Wild is that on the bottom left hand screen, so here, you can see the Triforce symbol here. So that's like basically an indication to show you that you are playing on Hero Mode or Master Mode. Another thing is that whenever you warp, so let's warp to the Shrine of Resurrection. Whenever the loading screen pops up, instead of being white, it turns to red, which I think is quite cool. And also the loading, when you see the title load, that also shows it in red or orange. So I think that's quite cool. And you can see Master Mode here, which is quite cool, which doesn't appear normally. When it comes to the other Hero Modes, I would say this is the more harder one, I would say, but mainly because of the way that you fight enemies mainly, because in other Hero Modes like Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, and the Wind Waker HD, you're able to fight a whole bunch of enemies fairly easily, and you might take a lot of damage here and there, but I would say it's fairly easy to just regain health and stuff like that by using potions or fairies. But because of the lack of fairies and stuff, and there are fairies in the game in Breath of the Wild, but there aren't really that really hearts in the game. And I thought there would be a Zelda here. So let's try with the Lionel or something, because enemies that you fight in this game in particular regenerates their health. So that means whenever you're fighting a particular enemy, they will start to slowly recharge. And I was really hoping to fight the giant boss, but I think a Lionel might do it. That might help. So, and also in Hero Mode, you will sometimes find floating platforms like this one over here. Like the two of them, they weren't there in the original, in the normal mode, and I think that's really cool. And you can also use them to your advantage if I can, because if I hit any of the Octoroks, they will lose weight on this particular side. So then that will mean that the Bokoblin, as well as any chests that might be on a particular Octorok platform, will lose all of their balance, which I think is quite cool. Am I going the right way? Actually, yeah, I'm going. I think I'm going the right way. But yeah, and actually, these Bokoblins will do nicely. Actually, so yeah, let's see what weapon. I think the Master Sword will do for now. So, for when it comes to enemies, if I leave it around for a while, if you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but their health will slowly regenerate, which I think is quite interesting, because that means it makes the fights a lot harder, especially against the bosses like Lionel's, the mini bosses you find around, like the Stone Taloses, not the Moblins, the Hinoxes, the Mordugas, especially, and even the Divine Beasts and Ganon themselves. They also regenerate their health. So I would say when it comes to the main bosses, I would say use either bomb arrows or engine arrows, because they are pretty useful when it comes to that sort of thing. That's how I beat because I managed to beat the both Windblight Ganon and Thunderblight Ganon with both these, with both bomb and ancient arrows. And I would say use these particular when it comes to the bosses, because of the regenerative health. When it comes to like normal enemies, I would say use these kinds of arrows. But when it comes to the main bosses, use these arrows. They are very much more useful. So yeah, that's been it for the gameplay. Now it's time to go back to the review. So overall, I would say that Master Mode of Breath of the Wild is probably a lot harder than in normal mode, especially when it comes to stuff like, as I said before, the bosses. I would say a lot of the bosses are harder in Master Mode than they are in normal mode. But I would say probably the harder one, the hardest challenge to do is probably the Trial of the Sword part, where you have to go through a whole bunch of rooms, and I would say that's probably the harder version, mainly because you have to really think about how you are going to try and overcome each of the challenges in each room, and think about how you might want to try and buff how you might want to buff yourself up when it comes to like some of the meals you can cook up. Like if you either want to try and go for max attack or max defense, depending on which one you might want to do. If you want to try and go for the easy way and go for max defense, or go for the harder way, but also mainly somewhat easier way with the attack buff, because even though you take twice as much damage, it will still help. The max attack will still help you when it comes to a lot of the later rooms and stuff like that. When it comes to the middle or the later trials, or even some of the rooms later on in the second half of the first trials. So yeah, so that's been my review for the Master Mode version of Breath of the Wild. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.